So, Mr. Fajr mentioned discovery learning. Now, if you remember, there were two views of the philosophy of mathematics. Let's think, I just remind you. One view is that the world is created on the principles of the universe, and that has been created on certain laws and things, which mathematics and all sorts of other laws, and we slowly discover them. That was one view. The other view is that the world is very chaotic, and it is our brain that is creating mathematics. So, my question to you, but I don't want you to answer, I want you to think about, is discovery learning fitting into the first view of mathematics or the second? That's my question. I'll talk to you much later and see what you think. Okay, so the Plato was, you know, the world has all that in them. You need to discover the mathematics. It's there, it's just that we have to discover. And the Aristotle view is that the world is sort of beyond that. Our limited brain creates language, creates mathematics for us to understand, so we feel safe. Okay? All right. Now, also, Mr. Fajr mentioned problem solving and inventing. And I talk to my students about STEM, and there is surface learning, surface understanding, and deeper understanding. Now the problem, if you only stay at surface, you can never use it to solve problems or invent things. And we did some card tricks where we started with one card trick, and as we made meaning, is it meaning? As we developed meaning, then we were able to come up with other ways of inventing other ways of doing the trick. So it is our ability to take this. So what I'm going to do, hopefully, is demonstrate. If you've seen this, please don't tell what's going on. If you can read it,
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is show you a mind-reading trick. Woohoo!
Whoa!
And thank you, Mr. Hisham, for volunteering.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Mr. Hisham is going to think of a number from 1 to 30, and he is going to write it on this to show you his number, and then hide it from me.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I will just turn it over to you. You just write. Pick a number from anywhere from 1 to 30, not more than 30. Okay. And I just want to check this one.
Okay.
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 I think that's right. Okay. I'm going to call this one A, this one B, this one C, D, and E. Now, Mr. Hisham, is your number on N?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, very good. You've got two voices here. Stereo. Okay. So it's yes to this one. Is it on this one?
No.
No.
If you can't see, you come along. Is it on this one?
No.
Is it on this one?
No.
Is it on this one?
Yes.
Your number was 70? Now, how can I do this? Okay, first of all, I will teach you at a surface level so you can do the trick. And then as we go deeper and understand it, then you can see I can make this a bigger trick. So let's have a look. Okay, so if you look at this number, what does this number say?
One.
What does this one say?
Two.
What does this one say?
4.
8.
16. Now, the way the trick says, if he says yes, I add this one. Oh, 16. 16 and 1, 17.
Oh.
Okay, you understand? Understand? You said you understand. Get out of here. Okay, this time I think up the number, and I'm going to tell you, and you have to tell me what number it is. And I need to show. What did you do with that piece of paper, please? Oh, my piece of paper. Okay, yes, you just give me that. Okay, let's see.
Okay, right. Okay.
You have to ask me.
Okay. And the number in
Here?
Yes.
column D.
Yes.
Column C.
No.
Column D.
Yes.
Yes. A.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, yes. 27.
Okay, now, if that is all I taught you, and if you took these cards, like wrote them and took them with you, okay, you could do the trick. But if you lost the card, can't do, don't understand deeply. So let's have a look at why this trick works. Okay, and because we are doing ICT, I have used binary numbers. So you think this is what I've done. I just move this over for a second and I push it back. It's okay. I just bring it over. Base 2, you know, in base 10, what is that base 10? We have the units, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the tens, and so on. That's base 10, our system. Base 2, okay, we have 1, 2, actually I should do them the other way around, because because of that. I mean, I'll turn it around this way. I'll put our numbers, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 17, 25, 7. Now, the base 2 system, all right, you have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Now, the way to talk to your students about this is this. Think about, I have a cup or a vessel which takes 1 liter. 1 liter of This is a 2 liter container. This is a 4 liter container, 8 liter container, 16 liter container, and so on. We're not using this one, so, okay. Now, if I have 17 liters, and I must fill the containers to the top, no half fill. Okay, so, do I need, can I use a 16 container?
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
Okay, now, I'm gonna just put this here. Okay, so if I use this one of them, fill it, I only have one, I fill it up. Okay, can I fill what is left over? 8 liters?
No.
A 4?
No.
A 2?
No.
A 1?
Yes.
Yes. So the 17 uses a 16 and a 1. Yes? Well, what you will see when I move it is this is E, D,
B, C.
C. Oh yeah, B. I never let you say that. Okay. So the way this trick works is you can see if I have a 1 here, I must have that number in the E column. If I have the number 1 there, it must be, but it must not be when there is a 0. So let's look at a 27. Let's look at 27, which was what I tried with my friend. Okay. Now, if I have 27, I fill up the 16. So how much do I have left? 11. 11?
Yeah, 11.
Okay, so can I fill up 8?
Yeah.
How much do I have left? 3.
3.
So cannot. Cannot. Can?
Yes.
Can?
Yes.
Ah. Now here is a test for all of you. What is now? Sorry, this is the way in any of your binary, whether it is a computer or a mobile phone, the way that the number is sent, except it is sent so fast, is this. If it's talking about 27, it's a little, like Morse code. Okay, but it's set up on, off, on. You know? You're either on or you're off. Okay, so if you understand this, you understand the code behind it, you're trying to deepen your understanding. How about, I want you to write this down first. I want you to try this. Try 25. What is the binary code for 25? Solid work, brain work only. What is it for 20?
DBO. DB.
Okay. Where's one of my? Oh, okay. Please. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. I'll just write it down. On. Okay. So it should be on card E, D, and A. Yeah. We will check that in a minute. Okay. Here's the final test. Hands up for the fastest one, and I'll give you one more back.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
As soon as you got, you ready?
Yeah.
31.
31. A, C, A.
No. 31.
Oh.
Oh.
One. Oh, no. Not the letter, yeah?
Because the next column is 32. Very quick. All right. So now, if I wanted to make, at the moment I said stop at 30. Supposing I wanted to say, I want to make it a bigger trick now. And this is where our deeper understanding comes in. Because now I know how to do this trick. If I lose a card, I write all the numbers down from 1 to 30 and I do the code and I make sure that we put them there. Now, if I want to make it bigger, supposing, now this is 32, okay, what is the next number going to be?
64.
64. So if I wanted to change the game up to 60, because 64, okay, to 60, think of a number from 1 to 60, then you're going to have to add another card, yes, and then you're going to have to do all the patterning. Or you can do it the way I showed you. There's a pattern. You watch. Can I just push this out of the way now? And just you see, I could do the numbers from 1 to and so on. 1. Okay, that fits. When I'm asking you, is it on this card, you're going, if it's on this one, so let's go back to the 27. Yes? So
Yes.
I'm going on, off, on. So 27 in binary number is, 11011. So all you are doing when you are feeding to me, if I know, I understand. You're going 1, 11011. I'm going 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16, 27. It's so easy, but looks so difficult. Why did I do this trick? I'm sorry for the teachers, but why I did this trick was to show you that surface learning, you are trapped. You are trapped. You haven't understood, you haven't made meaning. So you're in a box. By helping to understand, it allows you to look at and to use and to do other things with it. That's why as teachers, it doesn't matter whether it is teaching any part of mathematics using ICT or not. Good pedagogy is good pedagogy. Good pedagogy, one of the things about good pedagogy is trying to help make meaning, turning information into knowledge. Okay,
That's
I'm
good.
going to start. Sorry about that. It's my 20-minute start now. Sorry. Okay, one second while I will jump some parts of it. Sorry. I should have put that on for that. Although you don't. Sorry.
Oh, like an actor.
This is so I behave myself.
Right?
Okay, because the topic I had was like trying to work out trends and issues. So for me, it was like this. I have to look into crystal ball and try and think what will happen in the future. I'm welcome for suggestions. Okay, if you have a better idea, I will give you some ideas. And because I was given 3 questions that had to do with ICT, I'll show you what I'm going to talk about quite quickly. Some of it I've mentioned briefly with the students, but I do want to talk about the report a little bit more because it will inform government, and so you ought to know what the message is. And the OECD report is really associated with PISA, and I want to say again, for the benefit of the teachers up the back, the students at the front know my opinion of TIMS and PISA and any international testing where they try to compare countries. I'd like to say that for the purposes of comparing one country to the other, they are not valid. They have been proven by some very eminent researchers. Clements, you can look up, Ken Clements, or Nerida Elderton. They have produced research to say it is not valid to say that this country versus this country. That's rubbish. However, that's not to say that Pisa and Tim's are rubbish. They're not. And you can use the data that they find for your country to really, and use the questions and all that sort of thing within your country. That's good. But unfortunately, our politicians don't read research. They just read the front page, and if it says Indonesia's down here and Singapore's up here, then they get all upset and they blame it on teachers. You know? Politicians in our country do the same. If anything goes wrong, it must be the teacher's fault. That's why we are superheroes. Okay. So I just do a little bit of the report. In fact, I'll go. So that's what it looks like. And the first two, we know this. They're just telling us what we already know about the first ones. The first point, yes, ICT is changing. Hasn't changed everything. Hasn't changed everything. I still find children out here still like ice creams. ICT hasn't changed that.
No, not changing.
Okay. What? Critical warning. I've done something. Oh, right, delete. What's it telling me here? I'll just get rid of the critical warning if I can. Resume recording. Do you want me to click on resume recording? Yeah, people, and I don't agree with it. What's going on? Sorry. Look, it worries me because people who read this statement, it makes them afraid. That I'm afraid that my school doesn't have computers, for example. I'm falling behind. Don't worry. Don't worry. In the future, you may not need computers. Computers, all things now. So that's the interesting thing about technology. One of the things I know about technology is when you want it to work, it never does. It always embarrasses you. So, how we go? We do have to take on board. This is extra work, okay? It is extra work from the introduction of ICT. We will have to, as a teaching profession, find ways to protect our students from the bad. Okay? We will have to. The report is good for that. Now, this amazes me. As I said to my group here, in this sort of report, they have averaged. They've taken this amount of data and squeezed it in like this. As mathematicians, the problem with averaging is that you lose your outliers. Your very best examples and your very worst examples cancel each other out. Now, every country has their worst examples. Australia does. We have isolated regions where we're having trouble getting electricity to them. So forget about ICT. But that example cancels out a school over here, which has beautiful ICT where the teachers are doing fantastic. cutting edge. You know? That doesn't get in the report because it all gets... And the same in Indonesia, I'm sure. You will have islands where they're struggling to have electricity. So is it fair to put their performance up against a school in Jakarta which has all the rules? That's why I'm a bit critical of the report. Okay.
And then next.
So, what is missing from the report, I think, is ICT capabilities. I wanted them to measure that. I didn't want them to measure numeracy and literacy because ICT doesn't, I don't think it actually improves literacy, ICT, because our students are becoming more visual rather than reading. So I expect that with ICT, literacy might dip for a little. Numeracy, I think, will just stay the same unless, and I'm very positive that games, if we can get our grips on gaming and seriously do it, I think we can use that, will improve mathematics. And I'll talk a little bit more. Okay. So I just thought I would, instead of using the report, I would just give you some data that's just coming out of Australia now. In Australia, we had a female Prime Minister for the first time ever. And one thing she did was she straight away gave computers, started a scheme of giving computers to year 9, year 10, 11 and 12 students to use in class. She just thought, get them out there, teachers, once they've got them, will start using them and so on. But it was impossible just to give every child the computers at once. So there was a rollout scheme, which was terrific for researchers. We have some students that have been learning physics or chemistry for 3 years with a computer. We have some students that didn't have it. And so they're now starting to compare. The results are just starting to come through. This one's interesting. So from this one, we know that Australia is similar. We have schools that are good, we have schools that are not so good. The majority, okay. Let's look at this study. This was in the paper just before I left, our main paper. And I've talked about that. All right? We're just starting to do this. This is the year, we're looking at the year 12 after 3 years of having laptops in their teaching. Remember, the teachers haven't been trained, so they're gradually learning. And that's part of it. I've put it over there, and I've tried to put Indo translation via Dr. Google. So
Doctor, Professor Google Translate.
Don't blame me for the translation. Okay, so we've got this happening. The interesting thing is the results rather than that. The results are, this is what I wanted to know. It seems that there's children, okay, reading and writing and arithmetic staying the same, but their higher order thinking skills are being developed. We've always suspected this, but it's been hard to measure. What I'm going to call is ICT capabilities. And already the results are starting to come out. And Australia's going to produce some very interesting data, only because of the unusual thing, because the scheme stopped. Once our government changed, boom, no more giving out computers. So for a little while, the researchers are going to get in and do all sorts of things to see what effect giving each child a computer to use at school and to take home, blah, 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 and so on, what effect that would have. Okay. So what are ICT capabilities?
No.
Yeah, just like that. Okay.
Like machine. Look like machine.
Okay. So it's really, we're talking about, I'm sorry that the red should different colour, but it's about higher order thinking skills, you know, how to solve problems. Get your teeth in it. We want technology to solve our problems in the future. So that means, again, I come back, meaning. We've got to keep hitting at that, help our children understand what they're doing. Now, the capabilities can be separated into three sets. Capabilities for investigating. My students, I will put a PDF file of this stuff on the cloud for you. Okay. But investigating, okay, that's one. Communicating. A lot of our students have already developed some very good skills with communicating as far as mobile phones and messaging is concerned. The do we measure? Not the skills at the moment. Creating with ICT. Creating. I'm going to talk about how this affects future jobs. So that's the diagram basically with the ICT, with the investigating, communicating, creating, and then of course a further level, and at each level of this there are new jobs going to be created. New jobs. Now, I just quickly, if we think about the way technology has developed, we started with big mainframe computers which would take up a room like this. We had the PCs, and from the PCs they were taking the little chips out and putting them into other things. So we were using to fly aeroplanes and do other things. Then we got the internet. You know, internet's terrific for information, but how do we turn information into knowledge is the question. Then we got wireless. Brought to you by Australia. I'm so proud. CSIRO invented wireless.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Really? Yeah.
Okay, but now we're getting to this. Now, ubiquitous means everywhere. These, you know, you can go to unusual places and people will have either mobile phone or game. You know, these are coming. They're getting everywhere. Wireless and of course broadband. So it will be much easier. At the moment, to talk to someone through on Skype, sometimes very good, sometimes not so good.
Yep.
Soon, no problem. In Australia, in my state of New South Wales, we now have a thing called connected classroom. So what happens is we have many schools in the distant rural areas, and at a particular time, they will have a very good mathematics teacher with his class here, and he will be teaching his class, and these other schools will be able, well they are able now, to watch what is going on and actually participate, ask questions. Their teacher is in the room with them, but the student, if they put up their hand, they ask the question to the person, you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and it answers it. So, interesting, but you see, people think, oh, you'll just have one teacher. No, the classroom teacher is still with, we still need classroom teachers. Yeah. So, what I said was that up until now we've been talking about the E generation and that, but we're now in the M generation, the mobile generation. It's here. In the future, more and more devices will have many functions. A camera will not just be a camera. It will be more. You know, when you will buy a can opener, it will do more. You know, you won't buy it for one thing. When you buy a small thing, oh, very nice.
Oh.
I buy this small thing here. I buy this one very small. it can talk. It can take photos. It can, you know. That's what is coming. Multi-function, mobile, and low cost.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm talking about the young generation.
I'm learning.
Okay? Already researchers are talking about the student mobile backpack. What do we need to put in this backpack in digital form that our students need? Let me say, one of the things my dear first female Prime Minister did, although she probably didn't do it, was the ministers under her and all the workers, they decided that if we just give every child this computer, there's all these dangers. And so what we're going to do, we're going to only put certain software on it, so that, and the school teachers will get to use that. So GeoGebra was one of them, because I was on the committee to suggest it. GeoGebra is one which is really good. The other one I suggest to you, which I haven't had time to do here, but if you get a chance, look up Google SketchUp. It's a fantastic program. It's free and it's great. You can use with your students. But I'm a great believer freeware, because I want my students to have access at home. Shouldn't cost money. Okay. I want to quickly say something about brains, because brain research is really changing some of our ideas. Rewiring the brain. Every time you concentrate intensely, you are changing a neuron path in your brain. If you do that, concentrate, eventually it becomes long-term. It will last forever, which has implications for our students who play games. Because the gaming makes use of that, and I'll speak a little bit more as we go. It's like the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. It's true of your brain. Your brain is not fixed. It's not fixed. You work it, you can become smarter. You don't work it, you can become less smart.
Less smart.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to use that. Okay, so there is a part of the teenager brain that will be involved with games. I don't want to speak. I've got to speed up a bit. Now, part of what happens when you are thinking in your brain, there's an electrical current that transfers, and it needs this transmitter called dopamine. Now, dopamine helps the message transfer, but if you get more dopamine than you need to transmit the message, the extra dopamine makes you feel good. It gives you pleasure. It's a natural drug to make you feel very good. And there is a natural one, bananas. Bananas have small amounts of dopamine. So it's no wonder that when you eat a banana, you feel a little bit better. Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to sell one. Okay, so when it gives you a reward, all right? When you've been challenged by something and you succeed, you get a dopamine hit, which helps to keep you focused. You have seen children with games. You say, hey, time for dinner, time for, come. Why? Because they're getting dopamine, drug addict. Woo! That's why we say it's an addiction. It is an addiction. And that long period of concentration is changing that child's brain. But it may not be for the worse. We're still trying to get the research on this. One thing we know, their eye-hand coordination is much better than us. Already we've seen the results. So, dopamine is also, as children develop activity and problem solving, they're being rewarded by dopamine. So, video games. There are video games with mathematics. Most of them are the old pedagogy, just drill and practice, and boring. You give it to a child, oh, I don't want to play this. It's boring. But the good thing is, there are some mathematical games we now design like the usual game, but embedded mathematics, drill and practice and so on. And of course the kids take to them and will spend a lot of time. Drill and practice is no longer boring. Now why isn't it boring? A couple of things. Let me tell you what happens. When I play this video game, okay, first of all I have a challenge. It requires me to concentrate. While I'm concentrating, the brain, and then, hey, I either get it, and then I go again. Now, what the game does is that if I get it right, it gives me a reward and gives me a rest.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Like Mr. Bean.
Multifunction.
Oh, yeah. Creative. Creative. Yeah. Take to the pocket. Ah.
Does it still work?
Yeah, still.
So, okay, if I get it, I get a dopamine, which makes me want to go again. But the game is adjusting the challenge. It is scaffolding. You see, that's a very difficult thing to do in a class. I have a class of 30 or 40 students. If I scaffold it for Aram,
Okay.
right? Aram, if I scaffold for Aram, well, but maybe too easy for
Tall.
and too hard for Anita.
Oh.
You know, that's why, you know, when you can go to any country in the world, in their curriculum or in their statement of aims, cater for the needs of the individual. Like, politicians can say this, ministers can say this, it sounds so easy. You tried with a group, I was a teacher. For each individual, 40 lesson plans? Impossible. So social constructivism helps because, as we talked about it, we use the group. If I scaffold for Aaron and he is in a group, you're finding it difficult, it's too easy for you, and so on, between them talking, I'm sort of scaffolding that way. But it's still not perfect, it's not one-on-one. But a video game can scaffold challenge one-on-one. The challenge is important. If we over-scaffold, we take the challenge, being boring, not learning, not engaged, gonna misbehave if I'm a boy. Okay. The other thing that the game does is, woo! I've just run Japan.
Oh.
Mother's call. The other thing that happens is the game, you concentrate, but then it gives you a rest. chance to rest. And the dopamine makes you feel good, and then you concentrate, and you get a rest. You concentrate, and you get a rest. What do we do in class? We make them concentrate for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then we give them a rest or two and practice. Maybe, I'm not saying we really got to think this through, but no, there's something there to think about. It's my 20 minutes up there. I'm almost finished. Okay, yeah, I am. I've only got 2 more slides and I'll stop. Okay. So future directions, the teacher, this is going to be a bit hard for teachers. We will have a choice of many things. Only choose the things can help you on specific things. Nothing will do everything for you. Don't listen to the people who want to tell you. All right? So if I'm teaching the grading of a straight line, I might use GeoGebra just for that, but I won't use GeoGebra for something else. All right? Obviously, there is a cost. There is a cost to things, but I believe teacher learning, we must keep giving teachers support.
Always good.
And I warn you that virtual schools are coming, but that doesn't mean we're going to get rid of teachers. In fact, we need more teachers. In the virtual schools that they've had, it's in fact, they've worked out that they need more teachers, not less. Right? So, my last thing is, don't worry, I don't know whether the spelling's right there. We are prepared. Why? Because we have
a
Secret superhero.
Okay.
Even Bill Gates says, he's the man who's all about Mr. Technology. What does he say? Teacher is the most important.
Oh.
Okay.
Important. So, teachers need support. Okay, superheroes. And they are going to the future. And I'm finished.
We'll be going directly to the last part of our talk show. So we will be inviting participants to ask questions to either Professor Alan White or Professor Sotik or both. So if you have any questions,
Okay. Sorry. Okay, thank you for. My question is, I don't understand. I already about what difference of problem posing and problem solving. There is I don't know the right the thing. And then number 2, the second one.
Otherwise we'll forget you.
Oh yeah, okay.
We'll ask you to give us the second one.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to say something on that, or you want me to say something? Problem posing and problem solving.
In my opinion, problem solving, learn how to solve the problem. The student solve the problem by himself. But problem posing, student facilitated by teacher to write a problem based on something they have learned. So this is a different problem posing. The student write the problem, but problem solving is teacher asks
That-
student to solve.
yeah. Sorry, that is the problem because student didn't have any concept about material. What how the student can make a question because student there are no knowledge about that concept.
Yes. If I could say something. Yeah, we know what problem solving is. There's a process and so on. So we won't go there. But the problem posing is an interesting thing, and that is that what the teacher does is try and guide the students through a process to get them to a point, and then say, well, what do you need to think about to go further? And it's really the teacher scaffold the student. You see, seem to be doing is asking the children to solve our problems. And sometimes, and this is particularly in maths, we sometimes jump because we have more knowledge of mathematics than them, and we don't see the little obstacles. And so giving the children by opening it to the child and saying, okay, is there a problem you see? You know, here we are, we've got this far, we want to get here. Do you see any obstacles or problems in the problem? So it might be that the child says, yes, I don't know my 8 times table, that's the problem. Oh, that's okay. So this is a problem for him. But that's a very simple example. You know, another case why, you know, we say a trigonometry problem may be, we usually say, how do you find the height of a flagpole using trigonometry? And it might be better to allow the student to give us a problem that's more relevant to them. But there is research into problem posing, and it's basically trying to allow the students to have a voice in what problems they should solve. Doesn't mean you hand it all over to them. That's the theory. In fact, I haven't done any reading of that for a little while. If you would give me a kind of name of that sentence, I would have given you some better examples. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for your question.
Any other questions?
Ask 3 questions. Right. You want me to start on that? How about in the next 3 questions, I'll put up one and give my views and you want to add to them? Oh, okay.
We have 3 questions. Actually, both presenters, so both can also chip in and give more information on it. So the first one, what new jobs will emerge in the future, and how will mathematics be applied to these jobs, and how can we prepare our students for these jobs? And afterwards, some tips on how to use ICT for teaching and learning.
I just put the first question. I have to apologise to the Indonesian teachers. Our internet went down and I couldn't get on to the translation, so for this part I only have the English. I'm sorry, my bahasa Indonesian is sikit-sikit. So, look, I just think of the Australian economy. When I was young, we were mainly agricultural. Then we were sort of more mining and so on. Although we still produce agriculture, we still produce mining. Just recently we've had a lot of mining activity because of China, but they are only small parts of our economy. The major part of our economy is in services. And that's going to happen to Indonesia too, don't worry. Let me say that as these new mobile devices appear with their many functions, there will be new manufacturing commerce, right? To produce this stuff. You have to make them, you have to advertise them, you have to distribute them, they have to be bought. So there's many jobs around this. Also, the service industries. I want to speak about, you know, the drones. Have you seen these drones? This is something that's just happened in Australia. You know the little drone, like you can fly, it's like a game, and it goes up there and it flies around the sky? Well, it looks like a toy. Do you realise now there are major jobs in Australia involving drones? I'll tell you a couple of things. One of them, I mentioned this to this group, is there is a company that if I'm going to build a big building, you know, I want a big apartment block and I want to try and sell them before I build it. And people are going to say, well, what's the view like? So this company, with its drone, with its camera, flies it up to where the 50th floor would be and takes photos so that the company who wants to sell this apartment before it's even built can use it. That's one example. I'll give you a second example that I know because I have an uncle who is a farmer out in the outback, big property, right? Huge amount of land. He has dams, you know, that hold water for the sheep and the cattle. Okay, it's important for him to check regularly if the dams have water, because otherwise the sheep or cattle in that area will die. But for him to get in his car and drive all around takes days and days. There is a company, all they do, they sit with the farmer there, with the drone, they send the drone out, quickly can be done in half a day, look at everything. So there are many companies now being formed using this new technology, the drone, with old technology, a video camera. We didn't even think of these things 5 years ago. Now there are companies with employing many, many people. So this will happen with technology. The other thing, really good for us, every time you get a new device, you get new courses to teach and new experts. They can't do away with this, can they? We're always okay. Now, how can we prepare students for these tools? Look, you can't get away from the fact that there are foundations, and mathematics is one of those foundations you must do. But, as I've been trying to say, maybe we've got to stress more understanding and meaning, rather than just being able to get the answer correct, but you really don't understand what you're doing. I'm just following a recipe. Well, maybe, and this is, look, as teachers, we've got to keep saying this, but, you know, we say, here I am, I'm a poor teacher, government does this, they put these exams out. Okay, that's true. The same for me. But you know, what you have to do as teachers, you must discuss this with the outside community. When you're somewhere, even with your other family and that, try and give this message out that these big national examinations are not really good for the way we're teaching. We have to take the stress off them. Then we can spend more time to help our students understand instead of racing to do practice for this exam.
Yes, okay.
The other thing is technology. I keep saying technology, this piece of technology for this target, specific target, not for everything. Of course, provide lots of help for teachers. Yes. Increase, now this is something we're very poor, particularly in Australia and I think worldwide. We haven't been telling students about what is happening in their world. For example, can I borrow your phone again? If you remember when mobile phones were first made, the first mobile phones were about this big by about this big, like a big brick, and you had to put a big aerial up, and you could only make phone, no messaging, no. The problem was the technology was stuck because you had to rely on one area. And along comes mathematics with a new discovery called fractals. Now a fractal, you may not know much about it, but a fractal is a sort of a shape that if you magnify it in, it's the same shape. You magnify again, same shape. Magnify again, same shape. It's called self-similarity. Now, every mobile phone has a fractal in here as an antenna. At one level, at this level, the fractal is going to be your phone. But at the next level you go down, it's the messaging. At the next level, so when the signal comes in, the different levels of the fractal pick up. That's why this can do many things. Thank you, mathematics. So, but students don't know this. Students look at this and say, oh, say it cost me $100. You know, $100 or $200 or whatever. They don't realise, the pieces, $5. The mathematics, 100, you know, or $95.
Oh.
That's what you're paying for, the mathematics. You know, they don't know. We need to tell them. And then finally, we all need to do this. The brain, you can grow your brain. It's called a growth mindset. Your brain is not fixed. Brain research will show that children are not born with mathematical ability. There's a little bit of difference, but it's very small. Where's the difference? The more you work at it, okay, the better you get, the easier it is. That's the message we must give our children. You can't, when a kid says, oh, I'm no good at maths because my mother's told me she's no good at maths and my father told me he's not good at maths and therefore blah, 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 blah. Rubbish. Rubbish. You can be good at maths if you work at it.
Yeah.
Concentrate.
Okay.
So, encouragement. Don't say, good boy, good girl. It's hard. It's hard. You know, ask a question. Oh, good girl. No. Good thinking. Don't target the person. Right? Target what's happened. Because good gets mixed up in what you're saying with the values. We do want good persons, but good person, being good is being honest and reliable and that. And then we're sort of, it's not good to be putting maths on that. Right? Good thinking. You know, oh, wow, you got that out. That is really, you have learned something. I'm pleased with that word. Rather than, oh, good boy. or what boys usually get.
Another verb.
Bad boy. Nakal.
Nakal. Nakal.
Okay. And so you're not saying you are smart. You're saying that is very difficult work. You have done well. Right? We're not making a value judgment of the person because we want to promote this growth. You can work. The more you work hard, the better you're going to get.
Okay. Good.
Okay? And mistakes. This is the big learning thing we've got to do. Mistakes, we know from the brain, use up more brain activity. Mistakes should be seen as learning opportunities. Now, in a social constructivist way, if a child makes a mistake, you don't just say, no, that's wrong, the answer's 15, do more. You don't do that. If we've got time, you can't do it for every mistake, but if we've got time, we'll say, oh, how did you get that? I ask that question because I want to know what's in here. Okay? And if I get this explanation, which is obviously she has made some incorrect thinking, I can either correct her, or if I have time, I can then put it to the class and say, okay, do you agree with what she has said? And hopefully someone will say, oh, I think that and allows her to correct her thinking. Okay. Okay. We know that when people make mistakes, we get higher graded. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, have I gone over time? The last one. The last thing I was asked to do, tips on utilising ICT. All right, see the earlier piece. And make sure see the last answer. So what I was talking about in the last question, and also, we need to keep challenge. So scaffold with challenge. Scaffold with challenge. Yeah. Promote understanding, like greater use of freeware. I want you to don't be afraid of games if they are targeting specific mathematical things, and make greater use of the expertise of students. This is something maybe I'll talk later on because we've got I'm getting the wind up call. So, last thing. Why? Because you're going to, eventually all of you will get as old as I am. And if you don't keep working this, then, you know, there's all these other brain things that can go wrong. Very important to keep this working.
Oh yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, the first one is